she's got married to me because I have the money and I've got married to her because she's a model, which wasn't true from any angle. Social media is like a third person in the relationship.
Right.
So I think what's the most wonderful part about us being together, and I believe any successful relationship should have, that you don't depend on the other person for your own happiness. Any relationship is never a 50-50. If somebody tells you that, it's not going to work. If you're going to split everything to the down center and say that is your thing and this is my thing, it's not.
When you're in an argument, there are two sides to it. I personally believe that there is a practical side to emotional side. I feel that you should first take care of the emotional side. You may want to address the practical side a day later.
Correct.
पता लोग क्या करते हैं when you're like getting into a relationship, you always want to be the best version of yourself. कि मैं तो ऐसी हूँ, मैं तो वैसी हूँ, मैं तो ये कभी करती नहीं हूँ. And I get it. When you're newly in love, you don't want the person to see the side of you that's imperfect. But I truly believe when you're in it for the long run, the imperfect part out in the beginning, so they accept you for who you are is very important. And I'll tell you one thing, you know, if somebody wants to step out of a marriage or cheat or do something, you can keep a hawk eye on them as if you are FBI or CIA.
They're going to do it anyways.
You need to trust your partner. You need to trust yourself that you're good enough that they're not going to do that to you. And that security is very important for a healthy relationship.
अगर आप अपने mom dad के साथ लड़ सकते हो, भाई बहन के साथ लड़ सकते हो, why can't you fight with your spouse?
It is important to get it out. Because if you don't get it out, it will eventually build up and one fine day you're just going to explode. When you start dating initially, it's the flowers and the bouquets and the dancing every night. Probably after 10 years of marriage, plumber aaya, electrician aaya.
One beautiful thing about our relationship is that how we are outside our house, we are exactly the same inside our bedroom.
So we have Chahat and Abhishek. Welcome to Kaya Bolta Hai, the What Is Up podcast, and we're really glad you took out time today to come to this podcast. So we'll directly start with the questions first. So we all want to know, how did you all meet? We want to hear that story, your version and your version also.
Let her go first.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, I think, in the year 2017, and there was a person that I used to work with, and she left a particular company and joined his company at that particular point of time. And then she told me that, you know what, we're doing a shoot for my magazine in Goa. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. And she said, would you like to come over and shoot for us? It was an editorial shoot. So in my head, I'm like, Goa, shoot, free holiday. I'm like, yes, of course. I want to shoot. Who's going to say no to that? So, while they were traveling by bus, I decided to take a flight. And I didn't reach with the entire team. So I had a different arrival time. So I reached this beautiful property called Le Méridien in Goa. And being the person I am, I introduced myself to everybody and I saw this photographer shooting over there. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to shoot with you today. And he's like, I am not shooting with any people. I'm like, no, but I'm here for the shoot and you're the photographer. And he's like, no, I'm the interior photographer. I'm not shooting with people. So I'm like, okay, I've already messed up. So Chahat, don't make any more boo-boos today. So I went like, okay, I'm just going to have straightforward conversations. And then, you know, I go meet a couple of people who are having lunch. And I was introduced to a person called Abhishek Kulkarni. And the introduction was, that's Abhishek. Abhishek, this is Chahat. That was it. So now I don't know who he is, what's his role in this entire game, and what is he doing here. But we just started talking about aviation and the love for aviation, how he's fond about aviation and how I'm a pilot, and we were rambling about it. And on that day, I wasn't shooting. I was shooting the next day. So I'm like, oh, I'm bored. Let's do something. And he's like, yeah, what do you want to do? I said, let's go for a swim, but I don't have a swimming costume. So I think within 45 minutes of knowing each other, we are walking down the streets of Goa. We bought ourselves a beer. We are talking to each other about that. Both of us bought swimming costumes. And then I went to the pool and he went for a meeting. But towards the end of the day, he was like, oh, come, we'll go to Brito's for dinner, this and that. And I'm like, oh, I can't leave. I have, you know, somebody's laptop with me and other images are getting transferred. And so he picks up the phone and he's like, oh, do you think we've kept interns for you that you will leave the laptop with the model and go? And I'm like, how is he yelling at people? And that's when I realized he's actually the owner of the magazine, who I have been basically goofing around with all day long. And I'm like, okay, well, I should have behaved myself. But I'm glad I didn't know, because I was myself authentically, and that's how we met. And now he can tell his version of it.
Your version.
Actually, it's quite the same, but yeah, we met like that in Goa. Both of us, in fact, were about to miss our flights. I was supposed to go from Bombay. She was supposed to come from Pune. And we both actually almost missed our flights, and then we happened to be in Goa. I think it's divine intervention.
Right. Goa is a place where like it's conducive for meeting and things happening.
Yeah. And so we met in Goa, and post that we were there for about 2 days, and then her shoot and all. And I was enjoying my time while she was also shooting. So she was a little kind of upset that I'm sipping my beer while she's shooting in Goa and all of that. But once we came back, we really connected well, and we became good friends, and that's how the
Oh,
wonderful
amazing.
relationship started.
So, but when you all met, like, what was the dynamics like? Because since you are working together, you're not married, okay? So, how does that equation set in?
Honestly, if you look at it, we do not work together as such, but because the areas of interest are the same, she loves aviation, I'm into aviation. There are a lot of things that I happen to go to her when we come back home. I happen to go to her to take some advice or discuss some things.
Right.
But one thing is very clear, and we've decided this. We didn't even have to decide because of a situation, but we just decided that we will not discuss too much of work at home. We'll keep that separate, because otherwise there's no end to it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we both are extremely highly ambitious people,
Right.
and we realize that there will not be an end to discussing work, and whether without knowing, you will end up killing the relationship or the essence of the relationship in between. So we never discussed work as such at home. There will be some one or two things that we always happen to, there's a nice thing that, oh, this is a wonderful thing that happened at office, or this is an agreement that we are signing with somebody,
Right.
and hence I'm going to Dubai or London or whatever. That's about it. But we do not discuss work as such, and I think that has kept our the dynamics within the relationship.
Right.
We are like how before this podcast started, we were having fun. This is how we are at home.
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
Even when the both of us, just the both of us are here at home, we are like this. We are just pulling each other's leg. We are making fun of each other, and then yet at the same time we have that romantic side
Correct.
in the relationship.
Correct. Because see, when work becomes a lot, then there's very less time for romance, because you must be busy with your assignments, with a lot of things, because you have dazzle dust also.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that also. So when that is happening, and when you're in your work mode, but then you have to give time to your spouse and all this. So then what do you all do? How do you all manage that?
So I think what's the most wonderful part about us being together, and I believe any successful relationship should have, that you don't depend on the other person for your own happiness. While their presence is essential to you, like I cannot imagine my life without him,
Right.
but I am not in the constant need of having him present at
Correct.
every given point of time, because I know what he's doing is important. And he realizes that with me as well. So because like he said, we are both very ambitious, we are very driven, we understand that passion and drive requires hard work and time as well.
Right.
And you can't reach a certain place that you're aiming to reach by just not giving attention to it.
Right.
So there are days he'll work 22 hours, there are days I'm out of the house for 3 days in a row because I'm shooting at odd hours. There has never been, you haven't come home on time, you haven't had lunch with me, or there are times when we don't even speak for 8 to 10 hours.
Right.
But there is no, oh, you didn't call me, oh, you didn't update me, oh, you didn't tell me you're leaving, oh, but we were supposed to go out for dinner and now you're ditching me.
Yeah.
So you need to pick what is important in your relationship. And we have realized that we are so ambitious and we are so driven that there are times where we will have to pick ditching each other, even over a romantic dinner for work.
Yeah.
But we don't hold that against each other ever. And that's an understanding you come to. And I believe any relationship is never a 50-50. If somebody tells you that, it's not going to work. If you're going to split everything to the down center and say that is your thing and this is my thing, it's not. There are certain days I'm there 100% and he's probably 0% there. There are days I'm a 70, he's a 30. There are days where he's 90% involved and I'm a 10. It's basically depending on your mental bandwidth, your emotional state. So showing up for the other person when they need you and also letting them be when they need their space, I think that balance is essential. And you can only do that when you are secure in your own being. And I think to have a relationship with anyone, that sense of security within yourself, that self-confidence, that self-happiness and self-contentment, very essential.
Right.
I think also to add to it, it's very important to communicate things about your wants and or likes and dislikes and all
Yes.
right in the beginning, which we did thanks to her. because when I, in fact, asked her out the first time back in
Very long ago.
long ago, that's when we had a long conversation. Probably it must have been about 5.5, 6 hour conversation about what we want in our life, what she wants in her life, and me telling what I want in her life. And this is a clear no, and this is a clear yes.
Correct.
I think that was a wonderful conversation, a mature conversation that we had. And I remember that was the time when I had also, she had mentioned a lot of things. And I had also mentioned that, let's say, imagine that we get married and we are, let's say, 5 in the morning, we are leaving
Right.
for our honeymoon. But I get a phone call that I have to go to Delhi or Dubai for my
That's
work.
very
I'm going to ditch honeymoon and go to work, which at the same time she had also put it. And till date, we've never, touchwood, had a conversation about those things that we have discussed,
Okay.
because we were
Yeah.
very clear in our thinking.
Right.
पता है लोग क्या करते हैं when you're like getting into a relationship और नई नई चीजें जब शुरू होती है, you always want to be the best version of yourself कि मैं तो ऐसी हूँ, मैं तो वैसी हूँ, मैं तो ये कभी करती नहीं हूँ. And I get it. When you're newly in love, you don't want the person to see the side of you that's imperfect.
Right.
But I truly believe when you're in it for the long run, I think to get the imperfect part out in the beginning,
Correct.
so they accept you for who you are, is very
Right.
important.
Absolutely. Very important question. Who says sorry first?
I take pride.
But he has a very good explanation to it, where you say
Yeah,
being
yeah.
emotional and
So I personally feel when you're in an argument or any kind of a disagreement, there are two sides to it. I personally believe that there is a practical side to it, emotional side to it.
Absolutely.
Okay, I feel that you should first take care of the emotional side. You may want to address the practical side a day later.
Correct.
Take care of the emotional side. Let things settle down,
Right.
and then when you're nicely having a fun chat, and then that's
Then
when discuss
bring
about
it
the
up.
practical side. This is what I personally feel.
Right.
First, take care, because the most important thing, what triggers the most, is the emotional side.
Correct.
Emotional triggers in an emotional. That's what causes all the disagreements, and even if you are
Yes.
talking about work or anything, you get agitated because you're emotionally hurt. So I think first address that, and there's no harm in saying, okay, I'm sorry if this is what you felt, that probably my
The way
tone
I
of saying
reacted,
was
yeah,
wrong,
exactly.
whatever, but I'm sorry about it. Okay, let's close this chapter, and
Right.
tomorrow, when if and we don't need to again discuss that. It's not necessary that we need to discuss it the next day. If discussed, it's nice, and discuss about what, or say that this is what I felt, but that's the practical side of it.
Correct.
That's about it.
But then you choose the timing, you choose the mood.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah,
obviously.
you have to read the room.
Yes, you have to read the room. Exactly.
Yeah, you need not have egos in
Relationship.
this,
I mean,
that
yeah.
because now I have said sorry, I have to say this and tell her or tell him that this is where I said sorry, but this is, I was not wrong. No need to do that.
Right. But very important question is, some like people nowadays, like, they don't believe in fighting. I mean, if you're fighting, then there's something wrong. This is a kind of a notion that people have. But what me and Rucha we always discuss is, यार, अगर आप अपने mom dad के साथ लड़ सकते हो, भाई बहन के साथ लड़ सकते हो, why can't you fight with your spouse? So and is it healthy? At times, is it needed in the relationship, or is there a, like, hurdle to कभी कभी avoid करते हैं? How do you all deal it?
I think every person is different, and every individual is different. Even two
Right.
brothers and sisters are not the same. When you are two different individuals, you will have difference of opinions. What I don't agree when you're having a fight is to disrespect someone in an argument, to hit them below the belt, say
Right.
hurtful, nasty things. And I told this to him in the beginning of a relationship, that it's not you against me, it's
Correct.
us against the problem.
world. Yeah.
Not against the world, it's us against the
Problem,
problem.
correct.
And there are times that we will have an argument and we'll still not agree to it, because I have my own set of opinions, because
Right.
I'm strong-headed. He has his own set of opinions because he's strong-headed. And we like that about one another, that we
Yeah.
like that you're strong-headed. So you are allowed to have a difference of opinion, but that does not mean I will disrespect his opinion and say, "Ye to kachra hai."
हाँ.
I'll say, okay, I don't think so. I don't agree to it. This is what I believe. And he'll say, fair enough, you believe that. But it's important to get it out. Because if you don't get it out, it'll eventually build up. And one fine day, you're just going to explode.
Correct.
So it's important to have communication, whether that's good communication or sometimes a heated argument, but never disrespect your partner in it, because you can't take that back.
Absolutely.
And that'll always stay with you.
Right.
We've never let each other bottle our emotions or thoughts within us. We've always let the other person speak, even if it is something to do with, if she has something to talk about me. Okay, we've let each other talk about that. I
Right.
think that's worked really well in our favor. That we do not, even today, as of now, at this point in time, as we speak, I get assure that she doesn't have, or I am sure that I do not
Wow.
have anything bottled inside us that we still are there's pending to talk to her about. We do not have.
Amazing. So, one important question nowadays, the changing trend of social media. Okay, everyone's hooked on Instagram. Instagram हम सबको ज्ञान देता रहता है कि relationship ऐसी होनी चाहिए, वैसी होनी चाहिए.
Yeah.
Your spouse is this, that, and we are all nowadays. I'm sure even you must be sharing each other reels or memes or something like that.
Yes.
So, but that also has that has raised expectations from each other because we see कि यार ये लोग ऐसे कर रहे हैं. So it's like even we should have that. Okay, that happens at a point of time.
Yes.
You might not discuss. So how is it for you all? How do you all see social media as?
To go first.
Because for
Well-
sure, yeah.
Well, social media is something that I don't think you can ignore anymore. It's part of our lives, and we gotta live with it. What we need to realize, what you see on social media is filmed. We take retakes, just like we're recording this podcast today.
Correct.
It's gonna go on social media.
Yeah.
We've done retakes. We said, "अरे ये नहीं, ऐसे नहीं, वापस करते, मेरे बाल ठीक नहीं थे." You even look into those tiny things when you're posting something on social media. So what you're seeing there, of course, is a version of that person that they're sharing with you,
Right.
but that is not it. There is much more to that relationship.
Correct.
And every relationship, whether it's with your spouse, with your sister, with your parents, will have differences, will have difference of opinions. So I truly believe that what you see on social media is not the whole picture, and not to base your life on that. And
Right.
any form of comparison is going to just take you downhill. I always tell this joke to people, agar aap Google karo, like, is coffee good for you? It'll give you 10 reasons. Is coffee bad for you? It'll give you 10 reasons.
Correct.
So anything that you ask on social media, it's going to agree with you and give you reasons for the
It's your
same.
perspective.
It's
Yeah.
your perspective. So you got to pick your battles, I would say, when it comes to changing the person or wanting certain things from the person. But you also need to realize, are you that person that demands that from the other person?
Right.
We are so easily saying, oh, my husband should be this particular way. But are you saying, how are you as a partner as well?
Correct.
So find that balance. I would just say that. Don't look at social media, see what works for you.
What about you?
So I feel that essentially in a relationship we have to go or live your life the way you anyway have built it.
Right.
A social media is like a third person in the relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So would you want to live your relationship or take your relationship forward from a third person perspective?
Right.
You don't, right? You have to, and social media has given us a lot of flack when we got married also. The world thought that, and we have seen that on social media on two different fronts. One was where the world thought that she's got married to me because I have the money, and I've got married to her because she's a model, which wasn't true from any angle.
Right.
Okay, because money is one thing where you, as a business, you go through ups and downs and all of that. So
Absolutely.
that is not, and as if you say that she looks pretty, she's a model and all, that is also, I hope it will, and I know it will not fade, but for any person it fades.
Absolutely.
So what's important is for you to have that sustained relationship and a wonderful relationship, which we keep talking about all the time.
Right.
That we even discuss, when I'm 80 and you're 74, or
That's very important.
this is what we will be doing.
Exactly.
This is where we discuss that all the time, which is, there is a commitment to it, and no social media is going to take that commitment away from each one of us. So
Right.
that's not going to happen whatsoever.
And I genuinely believe that you're susceptible to what you believe in. You kind of attract what you fear. It's
Correct.
a very true thing. If you कुछ डर लगता कि ये हो जाएगा तो वो होता ही है. And I don't think both of us have had that mindset. So of course we do a lot of funny reels together. We did one today as well. But it doesn't affect us because I don't think we're fearful of what will happen or लोग क्या कहेंगे और लोग क्या सोचेंगे या नजर
Right.
लग गई.
Correct.
Because we don't think that it doesn't happen.
No.
And we don't track our minds toward that, and I think it's manifestation in its own way that we keep things between us the way as it is, irrespective of what's gone out.
Okay.
So and also is when we when we started our relationship, there's one thing that we both discussed and we agreed. I mean, we both our thoughts were the same when it came to that we said that now people know me, people know you, uh, at least in Pune or some parts of the country, we knew one thing for sure, that there is going to be a lot of people talking about
Right.
this.
Mm.
So I think there will be people coming to you talking about me. There will be people coming to me talking about her, which has happened also.
Right. Yeah.
So it's we who need to
Be
know
on the
each
same
other.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know what she is, she knows what I am, and हम लोग एक दूसरे के सामने छाती ठोक के जा सकते हैं कि
Amazing.
this is what we are.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If that is the thing, that no third person, like I said, social media, no third person
No
is
third
going
person
to
can
Yeah,
do
very
any
true.
harm to us.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So how do you both stay motivated and inspired in your respective field of work? So coming back to work now,
Yes.
because I understand being handling a company,
Yes.
being such a famous person on Instagram and all over the world, you have taken beauty pageants.
Yes.
You were a part of one.
Yes.
Same for you, with a very humble background, from starting at a call center to creating a business such big. So how do you all keep yourself motivated and inspired?
I get motivated with her, and there's no
So
there's
sweet.
no joke about it. I'll tell you why. Because every single time I'm in a situation or whatever, because in business we are more prone to situations than just because
Correct.
there are people attacking. I always say that a businessman is like a dartboard. There are constantly,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, and there have been, when you said that, when you spoke a little while ago, that you said that when you speak about business at home and all,
Yeah.
I think the most of the times I've spoken to her about business is when I've gone to her saying that this is what I am facing, and the kind of solutions that she gives, she just doesn't give me sab theek ho jayega, dilasa nahi, sirf
Dilasa nahi
dilasa
chahiye.
is not the.
Correct.
She comes up with solutions that are brilliant, I think, and that she gets from her defense upbringing, from her father and all of that. But I get some wonderful, and that's what I always believe, that women have that power, because I've seen two
Absolutely.
women in my life, my mom and her, who have that ability to come with solutions in a fraction of a second. So I
Right.
always believe that women have that power to come up with solutions in the worst possible manner, in the worst possible time, okay, in the best possible manner.
Correct.
And that is, I think, and so my motivation and
Sweet.
inspiration truly comes from her, because
Amazing.
she could have not done nothing, absolutely nothing, with the background check that she came with, but she continues to hustle every single day and
Absolutely.
work every single day. I've never seen her sitting idle ever. I do. I sit idle a lot of times when I feel that
Don't want to work hard.
come back
Yeah.
at 4 in the morning. So like, she doesn't, and I think that's where I get my inspiration and motivation.
Wow. Wow. What about you, Chad?
Well, I think, I actually did speak about this earlier as well. I don't think you can all get inspiration from anybody around you until you're self inspired in a very certain way, in a very genuine way. When you look for inspiration on the outside, it's kind of momentarily as well and short sighted as well, because it can only be, acha, ye dekh rahi hu, karugi, and when that person's out of sight, out of mind also
Right.
happens.
Yeah.
I think my goals, my ambitions, and what I want to be, and the version that I want to see of myself inspires me to do what I do every day. And I've always believed, this has been my upbringing. My family used to say that, my parents, it's not important to be busy, it's important to be productive. It's very easy to be
Correct,
busy.
yeah.
A lot of people can say, हाँ मैं तो busy
हाँ.
हूँ, मेरे पास time नहीं है. But does that equate into solutions or something productive? It's
Right.
also very important. And I've realized that if I'm spending my time somewhere, it has to be productive. It has to add value to my life. And that, I think, gets addictive after a while.
Correct.
Getting, a certain output to your effort is addictive. And I
Right.
think that keeps you inspired.
Amazing. So, just another question. So, in near future, can you expect you all to be working together, or is there something that's going to come out as a business, since you all both have this entrepreneurial journey? But like, can we expect a collaboration coming soon,
We
or
work
something?
together, if we put it that way, because we have such similar interests and fields. Like,
Right.
he has an aviation business, I'm a pilot, he has a media business, I'm modeling, and I also train girls for the same thing. We're always present for the other person when it's required.
Okay.
But both of us are built in such a way, we are a one man and a one woman show. Because as an entrepreneur, I truly believe you need to be cutthroat, quick, and decisive in your decisions.
Correct.
And you need to
Correct.
follow your own gut.
Right.
And both of us are kind of built that way and tuned that way. And I
You both are
wouldn't.
headstrong.
Yeah, we both are
Ah,
headstrong,
ah.
and we admire that about each
Yeah.
other. But I don't think you need to put us in the same room together, because I would want my way and he would want his way, and both of us then would want to like bring that home as well.
Probably the
But
way,
yeah, I don't
probably the
want
way
to
we
do
would
that.
work together will be that she will, as a pilot, she will fly my jets.
Ah.
I might run away with them for a vacation.
So, so we're talking about the ups. Okay.
Yes.
Any major setbacks that you have dealt together, or things that because obviously business है तो ऊपर नीचे होता ही रहता है. So what is your go-to at that time? When there's things are not working as per your plans, because कुछ हो जाता है. Some things get cancelled. For
Yes.
example, even if you're planning for a vacation, for example,
Yes.
because of work. So how do you all deal with it? How do you all unwind?
You go
Me?
for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's happened. It's kind of actually happened in the new future for us. So we were
Mhm.
supposed to be on a trip which was about to be a month long. But because his work came up, it's kind of divided into two segments, and we had to cancel the middle section of our trip. But I promise you, it didn't feel bad, because
Mm.
I know I'm his priority, and I know that in my heart. And he will only cancel on me when it is work that he cannot avoid.
Right.
So I think that understanding and that trust in your partner, that they are not ditching you, they're trying to build a better life for you.
Mm.
I think
Correct.
that understanding to have in your spouse gives you the confidence, and it also doesn't lead to that chota chota chick chick
Right.
of unnecessary things. So things will happen, but you need to realize you're spending that life with your person.
Hmm.
There are going to be multiple opportunities, multiple times for you to revisit what you're doing.
Right.
But if it's important for him to be at a certain place, I need to understand that, and he would do the same for me, and he has done that for me. So I truly believe just knowing that you are a priority, and that does not take away from you being a priority if he does that. On the contrary, it kind of proves that you are a priority, because he's working hard for whom? For
Absolutely.
me, for his
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that.
And to add, like, even if that's also true, if he has to go for a guy's night out
It
with his
is.
friend,
He needs to unwind.
Oh, so this I will answer
Amazing.
something.
Yeah.
I was in Canada on a work trip, and it was my our office team, 2-3 people from the office team. And it was a wonderful. It was 4 boys.
Yeah.
We were 4 boys, and the concept of the entire trip was Canada. So Canada Tourism was hosting us, and the concept was a boys trip together.
Right.
And while we were doing that, those 3 boys decided to go to a strip club.
Okay.
So I was just talking to her over the phone, and she has always has been wanting me to go to a strip club, which I've never been to till date.
Right.
And she constantly keeps saying that you should once go and experience. It's a wonderful experience.
It is.
It's
Right.
once in a lifetime kind of. And I've always denied that. She, one of our employees who was with me in the management level, she called him up and said that you should. I heard that you guys are going. You should take him to the strip club along with you.
Conspired.
And he's not agreeing to it. He said, listen, he pays my bills. I'm not going to force him insist. So I'm not going to do that. Eventually they ended up going, and I stayed back in the this, because it's something that I don't feel, but she's the one who is always wanting me to do things. Like very recently we were at a brunch, and I get a call from a friend saying that let's go to Bangkok. Now going to Bangkok is
Obviously
something that's
taboo.
a very there's a this to it. Although you may go to Bangkok for wonderful things also, just as a tourist destination and all. I get a call from a friend and said that we're planning Bangkok, will you come? So within a fraction of a second I said yes, I'll come. I didn't have to tell her also. I disconnected the call and I told her that these 4-5 boys, they're going to Bangkok, I'm going there. And she said, oh wow, wonderful, just enjoy. So that's the relationship that we have.
Amazing.
And fortunately that has never come in our in the way of what happened in Canada after that, with that person of mine who went, and what happened with him and his wife is a
different story
altogether.
That's a different podcast.
That I say that you conspired that I tell her that you conspired it.
See, आजकल क्या होता है, like feminism has also reached a point where women want nobody to say anything to them.
Yeah.
And I get that, okay, because you've been subdued for so long. But then when you want that freedom, why not give that to your partner as well, or
Exactly.
to a man as well.
Yeah.
You know, we want to say, "हम lunch पे जा रहे हैं, हमको थोड़ी बता के जाना पड़ेगा. I don't need your permission."
Hmm.
He doesn't need my permission.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you one thing, you know, if somebody wants to step out of a marriage or cheat or do something, you can keep a hawk eye on them as if you're
Exactly.
FBI or CIA.
They're going to do it
They will do
anyways.
it.
Yeah.
You need to trust your partner. You need to
Absolutely.
trust yourself that you're good enough that they're not going to do that to you.
Correct.
And that security is very important for a healthy relationship. I really believe that.
Amazing, amazing. So, what would be that one advice,
Yeah.
okay, to couples, or who are about to get married or who are just recently married? Because see, what we are seeing here is you have this amazing dynamic relationship
Yeah, thank God.
based on this utmost amount of trust that have made made yourself so strong in your each of your field. So, what would that advice or kind of a suggestion be to them?
I'll let him take this
Yeah.
one.
So I think I first get to people who are going to get married, because
Yeah.
once you're married, then there is least that you can discuss when it comes to wants. And you
Correct.
still can,
Correct.
because if you both are confident enough that you want your life to be in a certain manner, because I've seen dreams falling apart
Right.
because of the partner's involvement or interference, and at the same time I've seen dreams building and taking better shape because of your partner, like it's happening with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's happening with me because my dreams are taking really wonderful shape because of her.
Correct.
But when it comes to people who are getting married, I personally feel that they should do what we did, is discuss, communicate at start, is what is it that you want in your life, what have you planned
Correct.
for. Because whatever said and done, you've gotten into a relation, even if it's love marriage, you've gotten into a relationship, let's say 5 years, 6 years, or 8 years, or 2 years
Absolutely.
also.
Absolutely.
But before that, you had your own life.
Correct.
I had my own life, she had her own life.
Yeah.
So we both have our individual goals in life, dreams in life. It's important to communicate. I always feel do that. And second, I one thing I say, although I'm not saying only from one gender, but for a guy needs to understand that a girl for 25, 26 years of her life has lived a certain kind of a life with her
Correct.
parents.
Correct.
She's leaving that family, not leaving in the sense she's moving out of that family and coming to you. You need to keep that in your mind all the time, because
Amazing.
she's been kept in a certain manner in that home. It doesn't give you the right to disrespect her, or that
Change
doesn't
things,
mean that if she disrespects you, you're going to take it. That's also not but at the same time, always keep one thing in your mind, that 25 years or 26, whatever years of her life she's lived with her parents, okay, she's lived a certain kind of a life. It doesn't, and for a father, his daughter is the most precious thing for a father.
Very true.
You do
Right.
not get the right as a guy to break her father's heart by treating her in a manner that he doesn't like.
Right.
That's
Right.
very important. That guys should understand,
Wow.
is what I
Superb.
personally feel.
Superb.
Well, I have a very simple funda. Treat your partner the way you want to be treated. It's as
Absolutely.
simple as that.
Correct.
There's no big logic to it. If I don't want to be told something, I shouldn't say that to him. If I don't want terms dictated on me, I shouldn't do that to him. Does that mean I do jo meri man mein marzi hai aur tumko nahi bataogi? No, you
No,
need to
huh.
speak and communicate with your partner that, okay, this is what I want to do. And, how do you think about it? And let that person's opinions weigh in, and give them freedom in the
Right.
relationship. Even
Right.
though you're together, you're not a slave to your partner.
Yeah.
Both of them. Your husband's not your slave, your wife is not your slave. Just let them be and just respect them. I think over a period of time, sometimes the expression of love changes.
Correct.
When you start dating initially, it's the flowers and the bouquets and the
Absolutely.
dancing every
Yeah.
night. To
Yeah.
probably after 10 years of marriage, plumber aaya, electrician aaya.
Yeah.
But it's still an expression of love.
Yeah.
Correct.
But what
Correct.
shouldn't fade is the respect you have for one another, because that kind of becomes a building block on your relationship. And like I said earlier, once you disrespect someone, it kind of doesn't get out of your person's heart. So I think
Right.
that's an advice I would like to give new couples.
Amazing.
Never let the respect out of the relationship.
Amazing. So there's this question is very dear to me. Why? Because whenever I hear about it, I sometimes feel a bit scared.
Hanji.
Okay, when a good friend of mine is getting divorced, for example, and that's happening a lot. Okay.
Yes.
for example, and in a good relationships, nothing like
Yes.
marriages falling apart, people breaking up, and things like that. So when you hear that to happening to a dear friend of yours, so what is that, or what is that first conversation that you both have when if something your close one is going through that? Because obviously, see, nobody wants to go through it.
Yes.
You have to at times. So what is your go-to conversation like when something like this happen, or have you all given it a thought?
No,
And, what are
we
people
have
going
had that.
through, or because you're seeing those numbers
Yes.
rising
Yes.
nowadays. So any thoughts on
So
this?
I think the first thing that both of us do is ask that person who's going through it, are you happy? Okay, there are times when you've been in a relationship for 6 months, 60 years as well, but it runs its course.
Correct.
And sometimes the reason could also just be that you're not the same person, you're bored with that person, whatever it is.
Right.
But does that separation make my friend happy? And if it does, if it's for the greater good and it's for their mental peace and their joy and their happiness, we are all for it. In the sense that we are there for you.
Right.
We never come back and discuss it or put ourselves in those shoes. Like I said, it's happening to another person, it's happening to someone else. Comparison kills a lot of things.
Right.
And it also, these
Absolutely.
imaginary situations, agar aise ho gaya or agar waise ho gaya, is just building fear, building anxiety, and sometimes you just have a fight in your own head.
Correct.
And wo chid na partner pe nikal jati hai because you've had this one-sided conversation and assumed that this person is going to respond in a certain way, and it kind of hampers your relationship further because you are not communicating. You've built up a scenario in your head, so we avoid doing that. And there is nothing that a lot of people will come and tell me, I am telling you this, but don't tell your partner. And I'm like, if you're telling me, my partner
I'm
knows
going to
it.
tell you too.
No, he knows
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to risk my relationship at your expense.
Correct.
It's not worth it. So if you're going to tell me, I'm going to tell you, but don't tell Abhishek, I'm like, don't tell me. If you don't want him to know, don't tell me.
So for all the viewers, if you're telling her or me not to tell our partners, that's not going to happen.
It's
So
not
decide
gonna
what you want to tell us.
Yeah, we're a team and you cannot separate us, and it takes effort. It's not something that
Absolutely.
just happens.
Yeah.
It's, and the viewers again will see it and say, "Arey, they have it all sorted out." It's a work in progress every day.
Exactly. We build it every day.
It's a decision you make every day. And like you said, temptations are dime a dozen, opinions are dime a dozen. It's very easy to get taken in by those. But I think he keeps me anchored. I try to keep him anchored. And I think it's working for us.
Amazing.
One beautiful thing about our relationship is that how we are outside our house, we are exactly the same inside our bedroom. When it comes to conversations.
Yeah.
That becomes that we know that, and there are things that she tells me that here you were wrong at the dinner table or at the brunch table with friends.
Right.
And I accept it with humility because she's trying to make me a better person.
Exactly.
And similarly
Same
the other way around. Yeah. And I do feel, and I know it, I'm sure about it, that she's made me a better person over the last 5 years that we were.
Amazing,
And there's so many things that I've learned because of her. There are so many things that I've improved in. Okay. And that only happens because of communication and not having your egos in place, because communication can happen, but if the egos come in between, then you will have a flare up.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. So guys, a quick rapid fire, and y'all can answer together. Okay, like both of y'all can do it together. Okay. So who is a better cook? You or her? Oh. Morning person or night owl? Who's the
morning person, night owl.
Okay.
We don't need a watchman.
Acha.
Really?
Who handles the finances at home? Okay. Who is more organized? Okay.
She is more organized.
Favorite way to spend a weekend together?
Actually, we love going to the pool. That's our thing. Yeah, it is.
Then we
kind
get
of.
the time.
Then you get the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is the bigger risk taker?
Both of us.
Both of us.
Both of
Okay.
us.
One word to describe your spouse and vice versa.
Passionate.
I think go getter.
Go get her. Amazing. Who is more likely to bring work discussions to the dinner table?
Always.
Who is a better listener?
Me.
She.
Okay. Favorite date night activity?
Oh, without phones. A
Yeah.
dinner,
Oh,
just
wow.
without phones.
Amazing.
Late night activity, and also to be honest, for me, favorite late night is probably I'll sleep off and she will watch something.
Date night activity.
Date night.
Date night, yeah.
Late
Late
night.
Favorite date night.
Date night is
Yeah, without phones.
without phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Favorite travel destination as a couple.
We want to go to Aruba.
Yeah.
Aruba.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like on
That's
our
like
list.
Okay. Who is more patient one?
Me,
She.
Who is the bigger dreamer?
both of us.
Both of us.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Best part of working in marriage, like working together, or
Understanding the problems the other person's facing. You get it as an entrepreneur.
okay. Who is more creative?
I think she is.
Yeah, I think I am.
She is more.
Who's more better at keeping secrets?
Between the both of us, I mean, not from each other. I think he's better at keeping secrets from other people. I have to tell people.
Yeah.
Best piece of advice you've given each other?
Best piece of advice. Should I tell him the advice he's given me or I've given him?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you say about what I've given you.
Like you've given him.
So I think what I believe the best piece of advice I give him, like you need to see yourself through my eyes to see your potential.
Yeah. So that she
Oh.
always keeps
Yeah.
telling me.
Mm.
And the best piece of I mean, that's the advice that she's
Yeah.
given me. And I've always said that I mean, on the similar lines, but I've told her that there's tremendous potential in what you have on as far as her work is concerned on social media.
Mhm.
It's just that channelizing those right things in the right manner is
Right
important,
manner.
which she's doing.
Amazing. Who is the good cop and bad cop when it comes to handling situation together?
I'm the good cop.
You're the bad cop.
Yeah, he's the bad
Okay.
cop.
I'm the
Okay.
bad cop.
Yeah,
Okay. And who's more of a perfectionist?
me.
She.
Oh
Perfectionist.
god, it's a
She-
problem.
I am like see, Indian entrepreneurs are jugadu.
Yeah,
in some
absolutely,
manner.
bro.
A perfectionist and a jugadu can't get along. Can't go together.
Can't go together. Absolutely. Who's more likely to take a nap on a Sunday afternoon?
Neither.
Him, a little bit. Like you might doze off if you're woken up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't remember when I had last, but yeah.
Most likely it's him.
Okay. Amazing, guys. I think this is the end of our podcast, and we've had amazing time chatting
So have we.
with
we
you all.
have had a wonderful time.
And there were a lot of other questions, but I think we came down to relationships and the marriage and working in our fields and being together. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us, and I'm so glad it worked out. I think
Yeah,
it was
We loved
absolutely
it,
just
spontaneous.
spontaneous thing.
Call out to Mr. Gagan.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
the man, and without him, this would have been impossible.
Cheers.
Rosemania, we'll be always
And I'm like,
indebted to this. Cheers.
cheers.
So, guys, as a last thing, just I want you all to look in the camera and tell our viewers to like and subscribe Kai Bolta Hai and watch this episode for sure.
Okay.
So that's it.
Do you want to start or should I start? So I would like to ask our viewers to please like and subscribe Kai Bolta Hai.
Yeah.
And please follow for more.
Please
I don't know
follow
how
for
many
more.
people are going to hear me after you heard her, but please like, subscribe to Kai Bolta Hai. They're doing a fabulous job. We enjoyed. We had a wonderful time at this podcast, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy
All the
watching this.
podcasts.
All the
Yeah.
podcasts.